Hardwood handicaps both around the association and in college basketball coming your way over the next 35 minutes to end out this Tuesday edition, live right here on the early line on Sports Grid. 7-game NBA slate tonight. We'll run through some of the picks and previews that we have, then into college hoops. We start in Los Angeles, a matchup of two of the four best teams in the Western Conference. The Clippers, a 6.5-point favorite against the Minnesota Timberwolves, the over-under 215. We will see who is available out there for the T-Wolves. Of course, Karl Anthony Towns dealing with an injury. We did not see Rudy Gobert out there for Minnesota over the weekend. And Donnie, without the two big men and the defensive stalwarts for one of the best defensive teams in the association, we have seen the T-Wolves actually start to play games to the over. That gets my eye over 215.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in this game because it does seem low, right? And also take a look at the Clippers team. Last time we saw them out complaining about we play a little bit too early in the day on a Sunday. They should be full go tonight. Yeah. James Harden, Terrence Mann, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and Ivica Zubac in the starting lineup. But for the Minnesota Timberwolves, we're waiting to see if they're getting back Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert anticipated being in the lineup tonight along with Kyle Anderson, Jaden McDaniels, Anthony Edwards, and Mike Conley. So we'll see how that pace will be because usually it's like Rudy Gobert. Yeah. What's his job in there? To clog the lane, block shots, get rebounds, not add anything too much to the offensive market. When he doesn't play, you're right. It's like, hey, let's get up and down the court. We don't have the two big guys out here, which includes Karl Anthony Towns. For my money, and this is so big in the standings in the Western Conference, because if you're the Clippers, you should start to smell a little blood in the water saying, you know what, we can pass another opponent and increase our seed standing here by the end of the regular season. I think the Clippers handle their business when sometimes it just comes down to, we got all our firepower, you don't, and we're at home. I'll go with the Clippers tonight in this one, Ben, but it is a low total for sure.
And you're right. We didn't see PG. We didn't see Kawhi. We didn't even see Russ for the Clippers on Sunday in that early matinee against Milwaukee. For the Clips this year, when booked as a home favorite, they have covered numbers 16-13 against the spread. But Los Angeles has dropped 5 of 9 games since the All-Star break. No covers in any of those 5 losses. They have covered in all 4 wins. So if they win outright, at least based on recent trends, that might lead us to a cover for the Clippers as well. Minnesota over in 2 straight and in 5 of their last 7. Again, a lot dependent. This game at 10 p.m. Eastern time. We're talking about it before 10:30 a.m. Eastern time on what that starting lineup looks like as we keep it moving around the NBA. Tonight we go from Southern California up to Northern California. The Kings, a very slight home underdog against the Bucks. Milwaukee laying 1 on the road, minus 116 live on that money line, over under 235 and a hook.
Oh, it feels a little like a setup to me, doesn't it? You take a look at the Sacramento Kings, minus 1 point favorites here overnight, now flipped over here to a favorite for the Milwaukee Bucks at -1. That total, 234.5 is the opening number, now sitting at 235.5. The tempo should absolutely be there tonight. And I look at this number and say, boy, aren't they just begging you to take the Milwaukee Bucks at this -1 price against the Sacramento Kings?
Yep.
We'll see what happens tonight. But if I'm a betting man, I do think it's a true coin flip. Would I lean towards the Bucks? Absolutely here, and so forth. On the FanDuel Sportsbook, you click that stat spot. It's heavy on the Milwaukee Bucks, both on the side and also on the money itself. But if I'm looking at that 235.5, I think we get tempo. I think we get points. I think it goes over the total, which means big nights on the horizon for Damian Lillard and also Giannis Antetokounmpo. And of course, are you settling in on a triple-double on the opposite side by Sabonis? And what are you going to get out of De'Aaron Fox? Looks like we're going full gas tonight, and I expect to be a lot of points in this one, Ben.
I kind of lean with the Kings on the money line as the slight underdog. Sacramento this year, 13-8 against the spread as a dog. This is a virtual pick'em, a coin flip. Sacramento straight up in 21 games as an underdog. They have won outright in 10 of them. Milwaukee started after the All-Star break on that 6-game win streak. They covered in all 6 victories. They bounced back on Sunday against the shorthanded Clippers team down in Los Angeles. They covered that number as a 6.5-point favorite. They have won 7 of 9. They have covered in all 7 wins. But after 7 straight unders following the All-Star break, 2 straight overs, we are going to see some pace tonight up in Sacktown. 235 and a hook, again, is that total. Quickly on the standings. To Donnie's point, the Clippers right now, 3.5 games back of Oklahoma City. They sit in the 4 spot, but they have a 2.5 game lead over New Orleans, who is in the 5 spot in the Western Conference. They are 2 games behind Minnesota, who they play tonight. The T-Wolves only a game and a half back of Oklahoma City, but Denver in front of them. After one of the lowest scoring games we have seen in a very long time in the NBA, neither team reached 80 over the weekend. The 76ers and the Knicks face off tonight once again at inside Madison Square Garden. The Sixers won the game outright. New York lays 6 tonight. Will we see more offense? Total 208 and a hook.
Yeah, numbers moving all over the place right now. Let's take a look at the opening numbers here. The New York Knicks at a -4.5 price, now sitting currently live at a -6 price. You take a look at the total, Ben, 212.5. That's dropped to 208.5 live. But I got to tell you, if we're looking at anticipated starting lineups, now the last game was an absolute rock fight. It was terrible to watch. The Philadelphia 76ers pulled out a victory. Very rare here, and we see it a lot in the NBA now, a rematch going back on the same home court here for the New York Knicks against the Philadelphia 76ers, but in the anticipated starting lineups tonight. How about this? Maxey, who missed the last couple games with the concussion, anticipated as possibly being back in the starting lineup, which would be Maxey, Lowry, Oubre, Harris, and Bamba. Not great here, but Tyrese Maxey is the go-getter who has a chance to get you 30 points here, something they didn't have in their last couple games. Let's take a look at the New York Knicks. Now, Jalen Brunson expected to be out there along with DiVincenzo, but how about this? Josh Hart, Isaiah Hartenstein, and OG Anunoby could be showing up in the starting lineup tonight. So if I look at that total, which is so low here, and yes, they played terribly in the last game. Rested teams, same court, better players back on the court. Why are we not going over this, Ben? 208.5? Come on now. I got to go over that total.
So here's the interesting thing. New York was one of the best teams in the month of January. I believe they were 14-2, and they covered in 13 of 14, but they went under a ton. In fact, in 32 games in the calendar year 2024, the Knicks have played 26 unders in 32 games. But when they were winning a ton, they were covering, and that was really OG Anunoby, who joined New York in 2024 after the trade from the Raptors. He last played on January 27th. If he is in the lineup and he is healthy, and the Knicks look more like the team we expect to make a run in the Eastern Conference playoffs, I might actually lay the 6 in favor of New York. We are going to see some offense tonight. If that total is 208 and a hook, and by the way, neither team scored 80. The Sixers won 79-73 on Sunday evening inside MSG. First time since 2016, neither team reached the 80-point benchmark in an NBA game. We go to 240.5 tonight in Oklahoma City. The Thunder, a 6-point home favorite against the Pacers. We might not see all that many points, even if we go over inside the Mecca. I think we'll see some points tonight in OKC.
Absolutely. We're not looking at the AMC Pacers. This is the Indiana Pacers here going on the road. How about this total? Up from 235.5 overnight to 240.5, a total that we should be looking at great tempo here between these two teams with a favorite here of OKC -6. I want the Thunder here. You're now looking at the Thunder going, we should be able to separate ourselves here from the Minnesota Timberwolves, and we then have to hold off the Denver Nuggets, because what you're looking for OKC is it's not so much winning down the stretch and proving to everybody that they can win basketball games. It's actually that seed line. If you want to match up against the Denver Nuggets, you want 4 games in your own building, not 4 games in the Mile High City here. Give me the OKC Thunder to cover that spread tonight, and we should get an extremely fun basketball game with a lot of great props here. I think this game also goes over the total. I'm buying in to that steam, pushing that up to the 240s.
So the Thunder have a half-game lead in the Western Conference, and yet the FanDuel Sportsbook has the reigning NBA champs, the Nuggets, as the odds-on favorite, -115, to eventually take that number 1 overall seed out west. I think Oklahoma City has different designs. OKC, one of the best cover teams, second best cover team in the NBA, only behind Orlando, 39-24-1 against the spread, 29-19 this year. ATS as the favored side. Indiana really good covering numbers, though, as a dog as well. 19-13-2. I'm going to sit back and watch this game and hope we see some points. So now we transition from the NBA, into conference championship week. 2 of the high major conferences enter the fold in their conference tournaments today. That would be the ACC and the Big 12. The teams that you will see on this list: not really featured in the teams that will play today. In the ACC, North Carolina, the short favorite, plus 160, but only a 20-cent gap in front of Duke, plus 180 for the Blue Devils. Of course, we know all of the theatrics of Saturday night inside Cameron Indoor. Those are the top 2 seeds, though, DRS, in the ACC tournament.
Yeah, and should be looking to walk away with the tournament, quite frankly, because you're taking a look at what a normally really deep ACC would be. It's not that this year. You take a look at Wake Forest, quality opponent, yes. You take a look at Clemson and Pittsburgh, average opponents here. The one interesting one here is Virginia, sitting on that cut line right now. And for me, I know I'm speaking to a lot of America right now. And you say, you want to keep America great again, keep Virginia out of the actual tournament here, because we don't want to see that basketball. We don't want to see you walking up and down the court. We don't want to see 39 points out of you, hoping to hold another team to 37. Keep Virginia out of the field of 68. Keep them out of it.
So we do have a couple of ACC games up to start off the day. Notre Dame, a slight favorite against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech pulled off some stunners in Atlanta this year. We'll have plenty more around college basketball in just a little bit. Notre Dame's been covering numbers as of late. They have covered in 6 of their last 8. They've also gone over in 4 of those 8 as well. We'll look at some games at the high major level. We'll give you some picks, some breakdowns, and some plays on the other side, and put it all with a bow in terms of those conference tournament prices and odds as well.